Welcome to Illo Talk. I'm Cory Kerr, and this is 100 Days of Animation, 100 Days of Animation, Season 1, Day 2, where I spend a minimum of 30 minutes every day doing something to complete my animated short film. What you're seeing right here is the beginnings of what I'm calling Brother Beetle, and he's the dictator, the villain in the story that I'm doing. And typically I would draw him in Photoshop or even on paper traditionally, and then color it in Photoshop. But you're seeing me here draw in Illustrator, and the reason for that is because I'm using After Effects, and After Effects works really well with Illustrator, and I want to be able to do anything. So I'm building these guys as puppets, meaning I want to be able to, if I want to snap zoom, super close into their eye, that it doesn't get all pixelated and nasty. So it's got to be vector, and so since it's got to be vector, you got to do that in Illustrator. So there's limitations on brushes and stuff, and you'll see that I'm, instead of like inking it like I normally would and using like the pressure sensitivity of the Cintiq, I'm actually just like drawing the outline. So it's been a weird week or so because we bought a house, which is always weird. I've only done it twice, and the other one's a nightmare. I'll tell you about that sometime. I'll tell you about that now. Why not? So we moved. I got a different job, and we moved to a different city. And so we couldn't sell it, and the market was bad at the time, and so we got a renter. She seemed okay. I don't know. It was fine. Anyway, then market gets better. We want to sell our house. And anyway, she had been breaking a bunch of the terms of the lease anyway. She was like smoking in the house, and she had her like giant gross dogs inside the house. And anyway, my wife went by, and there's like dog crap in the house. There's a bunch of people living there that weren't on the lease. It was bad news, and she missed her rent. So we tried to evict her. That's a lot harder to do than you'd think. So it's been like 3 months of like lawyers and court and sheriff's department. Anyway, that's been stressful. In the middle of that, we decided we're not stressed enough. Let's buy a house and move. And so we did that. So I spent all weekend packing. That's weird. And but then when we finally moved in, the water heater went out the next day, which, that isn't a big deal. Typically, cold showers, big deal. That's kind of annoying. But it was like -7 during the day when the sun was out. And I walk to work, so I'm taking like cold showers and I'm shaving with cold water, and it was pretty terrible. I hated that. And anyway, got a new tank for my fish. I had a 39-gallon tank, and I upgraded to a 125-gallon tank because I wanted to get like the last tank. I didn't want to go like a half measure. It's the biggest tank I'm ever going to get. I'm not going to get bigger than 125. It's huge. I'll show you sometime. Anyway, so I got a huge giant tank, and I did something wrong. I don't know. I'm still kind of new to fish, and the water went toxic. And I walked in one day after work, and all my fish are like at the top of the tank. They're like right at the top of the tank, all of them. The babies, the big guys, everybody, all at the top of the tank. Some of them were like trying to jump out of the water, and there's slamming into the glass, and the water had gone toxic. I set up the filter wrong or something. Anyway, I did something wrong. And so as fast as I could, I started like scooping them out of the tank, and I put them in this big 5-gallon bucket that I had. I treated some water and got it at the right temperature, and I stuck them in this bucket. But I lost one of my fish, which, I don't know, some of you might think, who cares? But I like these fish. They're cool fish. And I like grew this fish from like an inch long to like this huge giant like 4 or 5 inch fish. It was a pretty cool fish. I liked it. It's dead. I killed it. It's really sad. So Then yesterday, I talked about this a little bit. I'm sitting trying to get stuff done. It's taking me forever to get all of this set up and everything. Anyway, super long time. And the freaking light catches on fire. It doesn't go out. The bulb doesn't just like pop and I'm sitting in the dark. I'm sitting in the dark right now. Over here, I have a construction light, like a floodlight, plugged into the wall, pointed at the ceiling so that you guys can see me. And so I can see what's going on. Anyway, it catches on fire, like 2 or 3 inch flames, fire, melted plastic, smoke, nastiness. That was terrible. And anyway, I don't normally drink soda in general. Like I just don't. It's not good for you, and I don't know. I don't like it. And the other day, I just had a root beer. It was really good. And I had it out of a glass bottle, which is the only way I think you should drink soda, because, I don't know, out of the cans, that's just nasty. Anyway, plastic cups with the wax and stuff. I like the glass bottles. And anyway, so then I started drinking soda again. It's literally been years since I've had any soda. And I had a bowl of Reese's Puffs, like sugary breakfast cereal, for dinner tonight. It's been weird, right? And so, but some good things happened. I think some good stuff happened. So basically, some good stuff is that, like, our water heater, we happen to have a home warranty on the house that we bought, which is cool. It was like $500. We didn't even pay for it. The sellers paid for it. They were throwing that in as kind of our deal. And I called them up and I said, hey man, the water heater's out. Like, it only has enough hot water for like a minute of a shower. It's not good enough, you know? And they said, well, it's not broken. I said, send somebody out here. And so they came out, the dude came out, the plumber came out, and he was like, they're not going to cover this. And I said, well, it doesn't do what it's supposed to do. He's like, yeah, but it's not leaking. It's not technically broken. I was like, call him and convince him that it doesn't do it, right? It's not putting it out. And so he called him up, and they're going to replace our water heater. We had a 40-gallon that was like 1998. Now we're getting a brand new one that's a 50-gallon, and I just have to pay the difference in price. So it ended up being like $80, which is awesome. That's cool. My fish tank seems to be up and running pretty well now. Like, it's been a few days and the water's cleared up and everybody seems pretty happy, and I got some new fish. I'm switching to some South American cichlids, which can get really big. The ones I have are African cichlids, and anyway, they kind of cap out at like 6 to 8 inches, but these guys, they say they're going to get up like 10 to 14 inches, so I'm kind of excited about that. The light's still out. That didn't turn into anything good. And I'm unpacked. And I'm going to stop eating cereal for dinner and drink water again. I like water and chocolate almond milk. Anyway, so to cap it all off, since this is not just a rambling whatever, what I did today for animation was I really worked out my story. So a friend of ours is a massage therapist, and she said, hey, as a housewarming gift, after you guys are kind of settled in, I'll bring my table and I'll come give you guys massages. I was like, sweet, that's great. And so she came over and gave my wife a massage, and then I got a massage, and then she did this cupping thing, like Michael Phelps, basically. And they're like these glass cups. They range in size from about like that big down to like that big, and she put them all over my back, and they I don't know, it felt super weird. It felt good. It's supposed to take toxins out and loosen things up and whatnot. But it was good. My back has these giant red circles, and I literally look like I'm wearing Thor's uniform backwards. But anyway, it was kind of funny. And so that felt nice. And then I thought, you know what? I'm beat, man. I'm tired. This week has kicked my butt. And I need to figure out the story for my animation. I made the mistake a long time ago when I first started doing stuff of starting this comic. I wanted to start this comic because I wanted to learn how to draw. And so to learn how to draw, I was like, oh, where do you have to draw a ton? And I thought, comic books, you have to do like anywhere from 3 to 12 drawings per page. It's a ton of work. I don't know if you guys have ever tried comics, but like doing a comic, that is a ton of drawing. It was great. I did that for a couple of years. Every day I drew a little bit, and I got a ton better because I hadn't drawn for a long time. But like I spent a couple weeks like getting into this and learning about it. I didn't know anything about how to make comics or tell stories or write or anything. And so I was reading all these books and I was listening to all these podcasts and I was digging up anything I could find from tons of different people online, Jason Brubaker and Brian McDonald and a little bit of Kevin Cross and who are the dudes? Anyway, there's a bunch of them that were doing like different podcasts and whatnot. Anyway, I was listening to a ton of stuff. And I thought, man, this is taking forever. If I want to learn how to draw, like that was the point of doing the comic, but I realized that it would be a huge, colossal waste of time if I drew all these pages and my story sucked. And so I stopped and I wrote a good story, or the best I could at the time. It's pretty bad now, looking back, and I've actually rewritten it, and I'm going to reboot it at some point in time, maybe after I'm done with this short film. But anyway, so I'm doing the same thing. I've got a general sketch of what I want to do, a general idea. But I thought, before I get too far into this, I need to get my story like down pat. And I've got a couple rules for this animation. No talking. I don't want to hear any verbal words. I might do like a Charlie Brown adult situation where like everybody kind of makes noises, but they're not like articulate words or whatever, and I'll do something along those lines, I think. So no dialogue, and the other thing is no written words anywhere. And so I'm going to tell the story completely visually. There'll be a little bit of sound and whatnot, but no language other than visual language. And so what I decided to do is I was like, I'm fried, man. And we have this new tub that we haven't been able to use because our water heater was out. And it just barely got fixed this afternoon. And so we have this huge jetted tub, which was a huge selling point for the house. And I thought, you know what, I'm gonna take a bath in the tub. But I still had to do a minimum of 30 minutes. It's only day 2. Can't give up already. So I took my notebook, I took my pen, and I sketched out a ton of stuff. So there's notes, and these aren't making sense to you, but let me show you. Oh, come on now. Right here, okay, and I've got like beats. I've got like beats that I'm doing, different scenes. I've decided on the transitions that I'm going to do in between stuff, and so you'll see I've got my camera moves down. I've got the scenes that I need, and so it looks like I am, how many scenes did I come up with? This might be a little ambitious, about 15 scenes. That is a lot of scenes, and so I'm going to try to figure out ways to shortcut that still tell the story really well, but I don't want to. I'm one person, and I'm trying to get this done in 100 days, and so 15 scenes is a lot. But anyway, I feel like the story beats are good, and that's what I did today in my 30 minutes. Anyway, so that's that. Day 2. And all my social media stuff is in the description, and you can follow along with this on Twitter and Instagram and YouTube, and my site, corykerr.com, CoryKerr.com. And I'm pretty tired. It's like 1 in the morning, and I don't know if I just spelled my name right. But my voice has started to come back. Doesn't sound like it now, but I sounded normal earlier today. And so that's cool. So anyway, thanks for tuning in. Leave me a comment if you have any questions. I'm not going to go over anything right now on like software or anything. But yeah, leave me a comment. Let me know that you're watching either here on YouTube, or you can do it on Twitter as well. So catch you guys later.